as well. Appreciate everyone here who's on time. Oh, joke time. Ugh. I don't have very good material prepared. Spencer, you gave me one yesterday, but it just didn't stick with me. So let me see if I have one for you guys here. Here we go. What do you call a nose with no body? Nobody knows. Okay, here we go. One more. I like my dentist so much, I gave him a little plaque.
That was a good one.
Okay. All right. Let's get to work now. Okay. So we are going to do some belt review. So what I'm going to do here is work on this page, Dojo weather. This is a pretty accurate, this is pretty close to what you might encounter on the test. Okay. So I know some of you have done it already. And how many of you completed the code belt review that I linked in the Discord? Did anyone complete it?
You think somebody would have completed it that fast? Like, really?
Well, I'm wondering.
I need another hour, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it was like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's accurate. I sent it at, let's see. What time did I send it? That would have been 1 my time. It's 3. Okay, so that would have been 2 hours. So if you guys are an hour from completing it, that's pretty good time. You guys are on track. Now for the rest of us, there's a quite a handful of us here that are still working on getting JavaScript and even just understanding HTML, CSS. Okay, so let's just go over this one here. And let's analyze what we have to do. So we have to recreate the page. There is one section to use position fixed, and it's for the cookie policy message at the bottom of the page. If you use position at all in the test, it would just be for the cookie, like here, for example. Okay. And we also have a couple of JavaScript features. We're going to convert the temperatures when the select is changed. We are going to make the cookie box disappear when we click accept. And when the user clicks a city, we're going to display an alert. The alert should say loading weather report. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is break down my page here. I'm going to take a look at how I should arrange it. And so I'm going to take here advantage of this annotation tool. And I'm going to say here the whole entire window is the body. So within the body, I'm going to do the nav bar first. And then I have this second section here. I'll call this the subheader. Okay. So this is yellow section. And then I have these weather cards below. These weather cards are all in one row. So I can call this the weather card section. So far, everything is in rows, except the cards themselves, they're a bit like columns, right? They're like 4 columns here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I have this cookie section. So I'll work on that last, because that's going to be position fixed. Okay, so far everything is going to be in rows. This pink section, this yellow section, this green section, and I'm going to create 4 divs within this green section that are going to contain these weather cards, the today, some rain, 24 degrees, 18 degrees. And I'm going to use display flex here. Okay. And that's about it. That seems to be the basic layout of the page. Now, once I get the view of the page finished, then I'll add the JavaScript. I'll save it to the very end. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Okay. So I'm going to push this over here. I'm going to create my HTML, CSS, my JavaScript. Okay, let's populate the HTML. Let's give it the title, weather forecast. And then we're going to link this, oh my gosh, link the CSS and add the script tag below. Okay, I want to test that they're connected. So I'm going to say target everything and make a background color blue. And here I'm going to console.log here. Now I'm going to open it with a live server. Okay, my background's blue, so I know my CSS is properly connected. I'm going to inspect here, see my console. I do have it saying here, so let's refresh, get that error out of the way. Okay, so I have my CSS and my JavaScript connected. This is a basic template that we need to have working before we start the test, right? Because we want to make sure everything's connected before we start coding. So I wanted to show you guys this. This is what you need to have prepared. Now you don't need a blue background. We're going to delete that rule. And we don't actually need a console log to say here once we know they're connected. So now I'm going to add my CSS selectors here. I'm going to say margin 0 pixels, padding 0 pixels. And let's go back to my HTML page. I'm going to open it up here so I get this book view. I can see both pages at once. Make sure that recording's going. Okay, recording is going. All right. So now I'm going to create the nav section here. Let's see what it looks like. That's my calendar. I'm going to create this nav section here with the light blue. So let's start with that. I can just jump straight into the body and create this nav section. So I'm going to say div.nav. Oops. Okay. And I'm going to add some dimensions to it. So I want to add some height, width, and a background color to get the basic view of it before I do anything else. In fact, I'm going to create blocks for the whole entire section before I fill up anything. And that's
Is there a
going to
reason
be,
why you're not just using the nav element, Josh?
yeah, it's not bad to use the nav element. It's a good idea, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys. There's some of us that are still just trying to get the blocks down. I'm just gonna use as little detail as possible here.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. No, trust me, that's still me. I'm just like, let's just asking that question.
No, good question. I was thinking about doing it, but then I thought, why not just use a div and call it nav?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna say background color, light blue. I'll find the exact color later. I'm gonna worry about the small details at the very end. Okay, as long as I'm consistent with my colors here. So this button is going to be the same color as this here. And I'm going to give it a let's say I want to give it a height and width. So I'm going to say height 300 pixels. Let's see what that looks like. That's pretty big. Too big. I'm going to make it 100. And that's better. Okay, and it goes across the whole page, so I don't need to shorten the width. Now I do now, once I've got this block under control, and I have that block there, I'm going to move on to the next block. I'm going to move on to this area here, and I'll call it subheader. Okay. So I'm going to create this div below it. Subheader. Let's do that here. And I'm going to create comments as I go, so that I sometimes forget to do that. Nav section. Okay. And I'm going to say subheader section. Do that here. Nav section. Subheader section. Okay. Now let's target this class subheader. Okay. And I think it's about the same height as the light blue nav. Let's make it orange. Background color, orange. Height, 100 pixels. And I don't want it to stretch across the whole screen. I want it to end here where the Dojo weather begins. And so I'm going to estimate how wide that is. So I'm going to say width. Okay. Here's another thing. Look at the width of the view of the window. Everything so far, this window is pretty expanded out. So I'm going to try to close the window here. So it looks a bit more proportional to what I would be seeing here. Okay. When you're looking at the wireframe, I've noticed some people when they take the test, they're even copying this section here. This is already given to you. This is in the browser, this gray section. So you don't want to copy this. This is like the tool that we use to create visuals of pages here. It comes with this section. So everything inside is what we're designing, and of course the title here. So we already did this, but I'm not going to create this gray here. Okay. In case anyone needed that clarification, we're not creating the gray. This is the view of the browser. And I am just now closing my browser window to a moderate width. not the full expansion of my screen, so that when I create my page, it's going to be as wide as I would estimate this browser window is going to be. It's not super wide. It's a square, basically. It's a rectangle, but it's very squarish. It's close to a square. So I'm going to widen my browser about that width. Okay. Now that I have the width of the browser there, I'm gonna now play with the width of the subheader. I'm gonna say 900 pixels. I'm just guessing here. Okay. And that's pretty good, but I think probably less. 700. All right, that's good enough. Now I need to center it. The way we center a div is by using margin 0 auto. We say margin 0 auto. And now it's centered. So now we have this block here. And now that we've finished this, oh, draw tool is not working. Once we finish this here, we are going to move on to another section here. I'm going to create a container for all these cards. Okay, once I create the cards, I'm going to create, well, once I create the container, I mean to say, then I'm going to create the cards in between these here. Okay, now let's go get started on that. So this is going to be right below my subheader, which I have orange. And I'm going to create a new class here. So let's leave a comment. I'm going to say weather card section. Comment div dot weather card section. Okay, now that I'm in here, let's go to CSS and say weather card section. And we're going to say, okay, the width is going to be the same as the subheader, 700 pixels. But the height, I'm going to guess, is maybe 350. Okay. So I'm going to say weather card section. Background color green. And I said width 700 pixels. Height let's just go with an even number, 400. Okay, that's pretty good. And I want to center this as well, so I'm going to say margin 0 auto. Great. Now I don't have any margin between these blocks, but I can add that later. Okay. Lastly, we want to adjust for this cookie section. And what did it say to use position fixed? Okay, so let's create that. We're going to say cookie section. Div dot cookie section. Here's a little story. I used to work at a studio. I was like a studio hand in California. And supposedly one of the musicians that used to rent a room at the studio was the guy that invented cookies. And I guess he was pretty rich. So cookie section. I never met him. The studio owner told me, yep, that's the guy that invented cookies. And I was just learning about what they were in JavaScript. I thought, wow. Okay. Small world. Okay.
Cookies, chocolate chip cookies, sugar cookies.
No, the internet cookies, these things.
I know.
I should have said that. That would have been funny. Which kind of cookies did he make? I like oatmeal.
That's a joke, right?
Yeah, it's funny. Laugh. Okay. Cookie section. Now, I'm going to give it height and width. So it's going to be the same width as everything else. The height, I'm going to say a little bigger than the subheader. So maybe 150 pixels. And then background color. Blue. Almost made it white. Okay. So here we go. Now now we need to position it. And I'm not going to use margin 0 auto. I have to use position fixed. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to say position fixed. Position fixed. Okay. And what happens when we do that? Nothing yet. Does anyone remember how to move it around? If I wanted to move it to the right, to the left, up and down the page, what do we do here?
Use pixels.
Right, but where do
They
I
use for like direction. So right under it, you use left 75 pixels, and it'll move it to the right 75 pixels.
Okay.
I put 75 pixels on the left. So let's do
Yep.
125. Maybe 150.
Let's go with the 100. Oh,
150. 150.
150.
Ha. 149.
149. That's 148. Okay, see, now this is what you shouldn't do. Play with this intricate of, that's good though. Okay, there, close enough. 148. Don't play with 1 or 2 pixels when you're working here. Try to get the big picture. All right, so now we have the layout of the page. Let's go into this green area, the weather card section, and add our weather card. So we should add 4 squares, 4 rectangles in here, like this, the ones I keep highlighting. 1, 2, 3, you get the picture. Okay, I'm gonna create these 4 squares in here. So let's go into our weather card section. And I'm gonna go up here in my CSS. I still want to stay in this area, weather card section. And I'm gonna say, let's create 4 weather cards. So div dot weather card. I'm gonna say times 4. So it's created 4 cards now for me with the class weather card. Okay, if I press tab, it's gonna go to each area that I need to indent and put my code into. And I'm gonna say weather card. Width 300 pixels and height 500 pixels. background color. Pink. Okay. So we see here there are 4 cards now in this green area. And I think they're a little bit too wide. So what did I say? Width 300. Let's make it 200. That's better. And now you see they're stacked on top of each other. And that's because I didn't apply any rules that they should be side by side. So let's apply some rules there. And maybe I can make it even skinnier. I'm going to say 170. And the height, I'm going to make it 350. Okay, so here's my 4 weather cards. I need to make them side by side. So what's the rule I need to apply to make them all side by side?
Display flex to the weather cards section.
Yes, sir. So I've been using this little analogy here. When you want your children to be in order, you need to have a flexible parent, okay? Imagine the parent in the grocery store, the kids are unruly, they're running around. As soon as they realize that, they have to flex. So apply it on the parent, and the children will go into order, okay? Now they're all side by side here. And I want to create some space between them. So I'm going to say margin right, say 10 pixels for now. Oh, that's bad because I put it inside the weather card section. I need to make it to the weather card. Margin right, 10 pixels. Okay, it's getting to be pretty close. I think I should have it even skinnier. So let's make it 150. Now, okay, 165, and that's it. And I'm going to say margin left as well. Margin left, 10 pixels. Okay. So now I have 4 blocks in here. And this should be where my weather cards live. Maybe some margin top as well. Margin top.
Could you instead use justify content space
I
between?
was about to ask the exact same, like we went to the mic at the exact same time too.
Yes, I could. I just when I want to make a little adjustment, I tend to use margin. So that's actually a great thing to do. Let's do justify content.
Because I was also gonna ask if you could have used margin 0 auto because it looks like they're centered too, but I figured justify content would have been better.
Yes, this is going to be an exact amount here. So this is good. I like justify content. I just, yeah, sometimes I zone out and get into adjusting little by little. I forget there's a rule that's going to do that for me. I do want to add some margin top though. So I'm going to move this comment up here. And that's good. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, so now that I have the layout, the basic layout of everything, I'm going to start filling it up. Okay, this blue cookie section is going to be fixed on the page there. It's going to be fixed there. So no matter if I expand my page up or down, or if I move it to the right even, it's going to be fixed in that area. Okay, I don't have it to be a responsive fixed here. So I'm just going to leave my page at this width, no matter how I work on it. Okay, I have to leave it at this width for this to stay here. Now I could find out a rule that would make it move with the width of the page, but I don't need to do that now. Okay, so let's get to work here on the view of things. I'm going to go, I'm going to work on from top to bottom. So I'm going to work first on this nav and then fill in the details as I go down here. So on the Dojo weather section here, I'm going to add this H1 in here. So let's go to our nav section and add an H1. It's going to say Dojo weather. Okay, it's there. Nice. All right. And then I'm going to add an unordered list. And then here, I'm going to add 3 list items: Burbank, Chicago, and Dallas. I'm going to say LI times 3. Burbank, Chicago. Where is Burbank, by the way?
It's in South California. It's
Right,
outside of LA.
right. Yes, now I remember. Okay.
My sister lives in that city.
What is it known for there? Anybody know? I mean, you would know maybe.
Banks of birds.
Taxes, I think.
Axes?
Taxes.
Oh, taxes.
Texas.
Isn't that where they film like The Price is Right and stuff, and like all those game shows and stuff? Burbank, California.
Who knows?
Pretty sure.
Well, we got another one, folks.
I'm gonna, oh my gosh. I'm gonna copy it, not cut it. And I'm going to. Can anyone sing for me the Price is Right thing?
Let's hear it, Justin.
I don't know.
Da-da-da-da. Okay. It's okay to be silly here. All right, now this is the last one here is Dallas. So here we are. We have everything we need in here. We'll adjust it with flex. We're going to spread it out. And we are going to give some styling to it now. Okay, so let's go into our nav section here. And we're going to say H1. Actually, we're going to say nav H1 is going to be color white. Okay. And our nav A tags are also going to be white. And we're also going to say text decoration. Text decoration. None. Cool. So we also want to target our nav list. Our nav list. So we're going to say the parent of all the list items is the UL. So we're going to target the UL, nav UL, display flex. Now we see the dots. Now we see the dots. So we're going to say on the list items, nav list items, list style type, none. Great. And we want everything to be side by side now. So the both of the children, the H1 and the UL, they both live in the nav. So if we say display flex on the nav, now everything's side by side. And what's the rule that we want to apply so that everything is vertically aligned?
justify a line.
Not exactly. There's that word in there, align items. Align items, center. So now it's in the center here. Okay. What's the other rule that we want to apply here? Someone said it before.
Justify content.
Yes. And what's the rule that we want to apply? What's justified content here?
Space between,
Space between.
maybe.
That's going to put everything at the very edge here.
Oh, okay.
So
Can we see the reference?
we're going to use space evenly. Or we can use space around. And that's about more accurate, right? Space around. But we're going to see here how this is going to change. So let's apply some border here to the UL. So border, 2 pixels, solid red. And that's the width that's the width of our UL. And you're going to see as we expand the width, now it's also going to move here. So maybe we should stick back to space evenly so that title moves in here at the very edge where we need it. Okay, so we have a width here where UL lives. We want the list items to expand fully within this allotted area. So how do we do that?
Justify the content to your unordered list.
Yes, sir. All right. Justified content, space. And this one, I am going to use space around. Maybe space between, actually. It doesn't matter. At this point, I'm playing with details. So our list items are actually, let's adjust the A tag here. We're going to say font size 30 pixels. And that's pretty good size. So let's make the H1 a bit bigger as well. So font size 30 pixels. Now 40. Yeah, that's good. Okay. All right. So now that I've adjusted this, I'm going to move along here to my next section. This is now done. Only thing I need to do is delete this border. I'll comment it out for now because I may want to go back to it and cut and paste it somewhere else. Okay, so now into the orange section. Subheader section. So I'll find that in my CSS as well, subheader section. And we are going to think about what to do here. We need to add another H1. Let's see a better view. Both of them have this. Another H1. No, this would be an H2, in fact. This would be an H2. We already have an H1. A good rule is to only have one H1 per page, if you can. So in
Hey, Josh,
yes, sir.
just to let you know, you have 20 minutes before the 3 p.m. code review.
Okay. I'm gonna have to work fast here. So then we're gonna do another H2 here, and we're gonna say San Jose. And we are also going to create a div here for the other section here for these drop downs. So I'm going to call, I'm going to just label this div. I don't know what label I'll give it yet. But I'm going to create a select. And for this here, I'm going to decide the ID is going to be temp selector. And in here, I'm going to have two options. This one's going to be Celsius. So I'll say Celsius here. This one's Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit here. Let's take a look. Okay. So now we need to go into the orange section here on the subheader and say display flex. Display. Align item center. Justify content. Space between. And that gives us that view. Also need to add a label here. So I'll say label for the temp selector. And then I'm going to say show temperature. Temperature in. Okay, so we've got that. And we need to create our cards now. We can erase this background color. And I want to add a small line below. So I'll say an HR tag. The HR tag will add this line, and I can edit this line later. I can decrease the width. I can increase its boldness. That's just going to create a line here that this would be. So I'll adjust that later. Now that I'm in the weather card section, I'm going to add H3s today, tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. All right. And now I need to include the images. So I actually need to download these images. I already have them downloaded. So let me just pull them out here. Here. So now under tomorrow, create an image class. Copy it 4 times. I'll say this is going to be the images is not in the same folder here. So here we are. Still not in the same folder. Is it in?
You have to add it to the VS Code folder, I think.
I think it's just not moving it inside here. This should do it. No, it doesn't want to do it. I'll mess with the images later. Let me add the p tags below. So this should say some rain, some sun, some clouds, and some sun. Okay, how are we doing on time here? Got 10 minutes left. Okay. All right. And lastly, we want to add the numbers here, 24 and 18. Because they are on the same row, I'm going to create a div that's called weather numbers, and I'm going to apply display flex on these here. All right. So we will do that now. Why is my p tag not showing up? There it is. Okay. Okay. So let's create these divs here. So I'm going to say div. I'm going to give it the class of weather numbers. And I'm going to create two p tags in here. First one, I'm going to say, let's just copy the temperatures here. 18, 24, 18, 27, 19. Twenty-one, 16.
How do we add the degree, like the on top the 0 degree stuff? I mean,
There's a certain shortcut. What I would do is I would just Google it, degree number, and then I would paste it in here like this.
okay.
Okay, the last one is 26, 21. Let's try to get these images in here. One last attempt. Yes, now that should be in here. So src dot slash.
It's still on the workspace since the drop down arrow is in the same line as Dojo weather. I think it's just trying to move it. You might want to delete that and re-drag the images
Yeah.
in on Dojo weather folder.
I was thinking to do that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do that. It's frustrating. Okay. There we are. Okay. Images. Which one are we on here? Saturday. Should be some sun. Start from the beginning. There should be some rain. some sun. This is going to be some clouds. Let's see it here. To read, every time you make an adjustment here, you have to reload the live server. Okay, there we are. Okay, so now let's go to our weather card section and adjust our images. So we're going to say dot weather card img height, no, width 200 pixels. Still too big. 150. Okay, that's good. And I'm almost done here with my CSS. Okay. I'm thinking of what to do because at this point we have 5 minutes left. I would maybe get close to finishing this weather card section as far as CSS goes, but I haven't shown you guys any JavaScript, which is what I really want to do. So let's work on this JavaScript function for now. I'm going to skip doing the CSS and do one JavaScript function here. So I want to be able to click on a city and display an alert that says loading weather report. So what I'm going to do here is go to those cities, and on this city section, I'm going to create an on-click. So on-click equals, and then I'm going to create a function in JavaScript that is going to be called alert me. So set to say function alert me. And I'm going to say on this one here, I'm going to say alert loading weather report. Okay, here's my function. I want to invoke my function. So what I'll do is I'll call it here. On click, call alert me. So it works for Burbank. Now I just need to copy this over for Chicago and Dallas. Burbank, Chicago, Dallas. Okay, I know we're running out of time here, but because I really want to show you guys how to do everything in JavaScript, I'm going to double check the schedule here. And I'm going to go a little bit into the code review time because we only have 2 people for the 4 o'clock session. So we have some time to spare. Okay. Okay, so I've cleared one JavaScript and I have the CSS HTML about 60% done. Okay. So let's go back to CSS HTML and work for another 15 minutes. So let's think about what to do next. I want to add some spacing and alignment to these weather cards. So I'm going to go into the weather card section. And I'm going to say weather card. what's the header level? H3. All the H3s in the weather card text align center. Okay, so now this is centered. And what about the P tags here? We're going to say weather card. Now I'm going to use the direct descendant. Weather card P tags. Text align center. So now we have these centered. And what about these images? Margin 0 auto. Oh, that didn't do that. So maybe just add some margin left.
I found the margin 0 auto only works if it has a defined width.
Ah, okay. I do have a defined width, right, for these cards. So
How about border radius to make it circle, and we might not need margin.
border radius,
Yeah.
margin works fine for me now. It's pretty much centered. Oh, maybe just a pixel off.
No, it's circled. The images are circled.
Are there circles? No, I mean with the background here, I'm gonna change the background pick. This doesn't have to be pink.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And this doesn't have to be green. So now, what else do I have left to do? I want to align these numbers here. So I called it weather numbers. So I'll say here weather numbers. Display flex. Now they're side by side here. And I'm going to say justify content space between. And now they're separated. Ah, that's too far. How about that? Space evenly. Okay, that's better. What about space around? That's even better. Okay. I also want to say align item center. I lost the view of the background here, so I'm not sure it's at this point where I'm centering it. I'm just applying it just in case it needs it. But this is pretty close. All I need to do now is change the font size. Okay, so I can do that. Okay, so font size, weather numbers. What do I need to do here? For the numbers on the left-hand side, I need to make them red. And the numbers on the right-hand side, I need to make them blue. So all the numbers that are red, I give a class called high temp, and the blue ones I'll call low temp. So I'll say class equals high temp, and I'll apply that to all the ones on the left. High temp. You're a high temp. This one too. And I'll do the same thing for the ones that are low temp. switch this to low and copy this now. Okay. Nothing's changed. So now we'll say for high temp, you're going to say color red. Font weight bold. And then font size, maybe 20 pixels. Okay, that's better. Let's do the same thing for blue. Change this to low. Change this to blue. Okay, we're nearly done now. Okay, at this point, I have 10 minutes left. I want to finish this cookie section and then add some JavaScript. So let's work on the cookie section here. All right, so what do I need to do here? I need to add maybe an H4. It's a bit smaller than these H3s here. An H4, I need to add an image, P tag here for all this information, and then a button at the very end. So let's work on that now. I'm going to go into my cookie section and I'll add an H4. It says stop cookie time, right? Stop cookie time. And everything here below this H4 seems to be in an alignment. So I'm going to create a div within this div section that can hold everything. And I'm going to display flex on everything in here like this. So I'll call this the cookie body. Okay, div.cookie body. Okay. Inside this body, I have an image. And let's grab that image. Cookie. And I think I forgot to add the alts for the other images. Yes, that's it. That's bad. Some rain. Some sun. Jumping around here. But it's good to catch yourself when you know you made a mistake. Some clouds. Some sun. Back to the cookie. Okay, so we've added the image. Now let's add a P tag. And in the P tag, I'm going to type this out. Let's see how fast I can type. We use cookies. Sadly, not the edible ones to personalize. And at this point, I know it's going to indent, so I can use a BR tag or I can estimate the width of the whole size. I'm just going to keep going here. Content and ads to provide social media features and to analyze our traffic. Also, there's going to be an A tag in here. href doesn't go anywhere. I'll put this hashtag in the middle and I'm going to say read more. Let's take a look. Okay. I do need to take out this background color blue for me to work and see. All right. I need to put a button lastly, and I'm going to put that outside of the P tag. button. And I'm going to say I accept. On click equals, and I'm going to say delete me. That's going to be the name of the function that I am going to call. Because I want to delete this whole section as soon as I click this accept button. I'm going to delete this whole thing by this cookie class. Okay, let's do some styling and then get on to our JavaScript. Let's see how much time I have. Oh, I'm cutting it close. All right. No problem. So we need to go into our style here and say cookie body display flex. Display flex. Let's take a look. That's what I needed. Okay, now I'm going to say align item center. That's going to eliminate the stretched view. And I'm going to also say justify content space between. All right. What else do I need? I need to take a look here at my reference. I need to add some kind of border around the whole cookie section. So I'm going to say border 2 pixels solid black. Where did my window go? Oh, there it is. Okay. I think the height, maybe if I make the H3 a little bit to the left as well. So here, I'm going to say cookie section, cookie body. I say cookie section. I say H3, it's a H4. Margin left, maybe like 130 pixels. That's fine. And margin top, 10 pixels. Margin bottom, maybe 5 pixels. And that's fine. For now, this is all the style I'm going to add to my page. If you find yourself running out of time and you get this close and you know you need to add JavaScript to your page, just move on to JavaScript. Remember, they're worth more points. So I'm taking this as if I have an hour-long exam to complete this whole thing, and I need to implement JavaScript. Okay. So what do we need to do? The easiest one I can think of right now is to delete this whole section based on clicking this I accept button. So I'm going to do that now. I called this function delete me. So I'm going to say function delete me. And I'm going to say var cookie message. I'm creating a variable that I can access by this cookie message. I'm going to use the document query selector and grab this whole entire section by the class. Okay, but in order to do that, I need to create a variable that I can use to grab it. So I'm going to say cookie message equals document dot query selector. And then in here, I need to grab it by the cookie section. Okay. And then I want to console log to make sure I'm getting it. Console.log and cookie message. So now when I inspect my page, let's move the console to the right. When I inspect my page and I click this button, I should see it in my console. And there it is. I was able to grab it by saying document query selector, grab it by the class name, cookie section. So now that I know I have it, I don't need this console log anymore. So I'm going to say cookie message dot remove. 2 out of 3 JavaScript. The last thing I would need to do is change these numbers on this dropdown. Right now, it doesn't do anything. So what I'll tell you guys is after I do these code reviews, how about we finish this lecture in a workshop? I'll record it as well. So I'll stick around till the end of the class. Give this a shot yourself if you're not doing the code review, if you're all caught up on the core assignments. And we'll see how I do the rest of this as well. I need to change these numbers based on this dropdown. Okay, but right now, if this were my test and I only had an hour to pass it, based on the criteria, this would be a passing grade. Everything is in its proper place. Visually, it's close enough, and I have 2 out of 3 JavaScript. Okay. So this would be it wouldn't be a 10 because I'm still missing one more JavaScript, and I could definitely add some spacing to a lot of these features that I put in here. But visually, this is close enough. If you get this close on the test, and you have 2 out of 3 JavaScript like this, you click something, you get the alert. You clicked I accept, it deletes. Then you would have passed. Okay. So let's meet again at the end of the class. I'll do the last touches on styling, and I'll add the last JavaScript feature where I change from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay. So stick around, guys, and let's do the code review, and we'll finish this up at the end of the class.
Hey, Josh.
Yes, sir.
During a breakout, CISO showed me how to retroactively change code using word wrap. Justin asked a question at like 1:50, I think that's what he was asking.
Using word wrap?
Yeah, in VS Code.
Okay. We'll talk about that in a second here.
Okay.
Let me share my, did I stop sharing my screen? No, I didn't. Okay. So right now we're going to finish this up and do code reviews. And right after I'm done with these code reviews, I'm going to gather you guys again to finish this lecture. Okay. All right. Stop the recording. And thank you guys for watching.